Hello and welcome to today's training. My name is Megan. I am the CEO and founder of Valkyrie Fitness and Nutrition, and we're going to talk about train insane or remain the same. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but I'm sure a lot of you, especially my military, law enforcement, or just anyone who's gone through some sort of academy, might have heard this before, or maybe this is your mindset in getting results and could be holding you back, actually. And the reason I bring this up is I got on a call with someone today who actually joined in on our program, and she's doing 2-a-day workouts, right? So why isn't she seeing results? Right? There's probably some gaps going on with her training, her not getting the body composition she's looking for. She needs to lose weight. She's in the military. So I wanted to go over this training today just to kind of open your eyes up. If that might be you, and you are doing all the things but not seeing the results that you're ultimately looking for. So let's dive in. So first and foremost, let's just go over like who we basically help. My team and I, we're all comprised of women, prior first responders. We understand the ins and outs of 12-hour shifts. So we've worked with just about every type of profession, from government employees to people in healthcare. So we have a really good understanding of what schedules look like. Do we see something that always kind of like, isn't something that we've had to deal with before, of course, but we adapt and overcome. So it's really, really beneficial to, get new types of clients that come in that kind of, pushes us a little bit. So let's go through this. All right, so let's say you're training, right? You're someone that is consistently going to the gym. Maybe you're just like this client that stepped inside of our program, right? How should you be training? Like, what should, because you know what I mean? Like, you guys are using like maybe bro splits, which are like back, bi, chest, tri days. Maybe you're doing full body days. Maybe you're doing a lot of HIIT or a ton of cardio. How should you be training? So ultimately, it's always based on your goals, right? So that is going to vary person to person. So you have to ask yourself, what is my goal? Is it to like lose weight? Do we want to change body comp? So this is usually less than 20 pounds. So always make sure that if your goal is body recomp, it's not that you have to lose anything more than 20 pounds, okay? Are you trying to gain weight? Which I get clients that come in all the time. They need to gain weight. And then last but not least, maybe like some health issues that you're working through. So it could be that. So figure out what your goal is and then choose that goal, right? Right, we want to stick with that goal. And then other people, like, they want to improve their ACFT scores. At people that need to like pass PT tests, like the CPAT, for instance. So like pick based on your goal. What is your goal first? And then ask yourself this: how many days per week realistically can you get a workout in? Is it 3 days? Is it 4 days? Is it 5 days? Like, how many days per week can you realistically get in? So that's basically going to be the framework of starting to comprise your plan, right? So let's say, for instance, you work out 3 days a week. All right, that's the only amount you can. How long do you have to work out for, right? Is it 20 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? Can you get in an hour? Can you get 45 minutes in? So you do 45 minutes, right? So also you have to ask yourself this: in those 7 days of the week, right? How many of those days can you realistically break up your workouts? Are you going to do, 3 days in a row, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then be off, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Like, is that how your week's going to be comprised? You're going to do 2 days, you're going to do 1 day, like a couple days later. So you also have to sit with yourself and ask, kind of like look at your scheduling and be like, okay, well, what's the best case scenario for me? So get familiar with your schedule. And then from there, you have to ask yourself, okay, if I'm only working 3 days a week, how should the workouts be structured based on what my goal is? So let's say you're aiming for 3 days a week. You can work out for 45 minutes, and your goal is weight loss. So ultimately, you want to make sure that you are hitting, right, majority of your body parts. You want to make sure you're feeling really good. You want to make sure that you're not missing anything. At the same time, it's fitting into your schedule and also the equipment that you have access to. So that's basically like how you should be training. You should be structuring in a way that makes sense for you, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Don't think like because like someone has, let's say, 5 days per week, that you should be training like them. Like, stop looking at other people and start asking yourself, how should I be training based on my goals? So that's how you would structure it. And then you could do it a couple ways. You could do like upper, lower. You can do, low. Um, you could do 3 full body. You could do, it also depends on, because we're wanting to lose weight, you could also add in a day that the full body is where it's like more HIIT style. So it's quick, efficient, to the point. This is what I like to ask like clients when they first step in. Like, what are our goals? Like, do you need to improve your endurance? Do you need to improve your stamina? Are you noticing like you're going up and down stairs and you're struggling? Do you need to do better with CPR or anything like that? So this is like another way that we're basically optimizing the plan. So for yourself, this is like something that you can kind of think of, right? Or you can do like a push, pull, leg split. I'll have some people do like push, pull, full body. So it just depends on the person. All right. So that's kind of give you a couple things to kind of think about. How long should your workouts be? We kind of touched on this, right? Like basically as long as, I always tell this. This is what I talk about with a lot of people in consultation. We're not here to add more time to your workouts because there are a lot of programs out there that like it usually takes an hour and a half to 2 hours. Because I've done so many different programs, like either apps, ebooks, bought people's things. It's always taking me like an hour and a half, 2 hours. For us, it's not about time. So not about time. It's about like how we optimize the workouts for like efficiency. And that's how you guys should really start looking at things. Is it's not so much how hard or how long should I get a workout in, because I used to think like this was like what I need to do. Like I need to do like a 2-hour workout, right? I used to believe that if I didn't get a 2-hour workout in, like I'm gonna lose all my gains. Like I'm gonna never see results that I'm looking for. And in actuality, it's not true. So first and foremost, like you have to have that mindset shift, but it should be about how efficient the workout is, not about how long it takes to do the workout. So that should be your number one concern, especially as we get older. Like in your early 20s, being at the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours is like cool, but when you have like shit to do, like no one wants to be at the gym for 2 hours. Like, I have to go grocery shopping, I have to do the laundry, I have to take the dogs out, I have work all the time. So like even for me, like people believe I work out for that long. Maybe like once every 3 months if I'm just like vibing in there and I'm like, oh, I've been here forever. But it's very, very rare. I'm usually like under 45 minutes for the most part. All right, so talked about time, like how long they should be. What is progressive overload? So that's something that you guys should do, right? Where they say train insane or remain the same. You should be trying to progress your workouts. And what I mean by this is like, if you've been going to the gym for a really long time and you're still hitting a lot of the same like weights, like you're not really progressing, that could be a sign of like you need to start pushing yourself and worry less about how many reps you can do and start aiming more towards how much weight you can start lifting, especially when it comes to like for a lot of us females, like improving muscle and like strength in the chest. I see a lot of women get stuck at weights for a really long time and just due to the fact of like progressive overload. They're just like not doing it properly. So pushing yourself, adding in things like tempo, drop sets, supersets, dropping the amount of reps that you're doing, adding in more sets. So there's a lot of ways to improve your progressive overload with your workouts. It's just going to have to be something, make sure you're structuring it properly. For instance, like a lot of times too many people are trying to like progress, but all they're doing is just jumping around or bouncing around with workouts. They're never hitting the same movements enough time to actually get better at it. For instance, we'll use pull-ups for an example because this is one that I hear a lot about. I love doing pull-ups, but the problem why most people can't do them is because they don't do them often enough, right? They're not progressing in any way, shape, or form. They're not doing things when they're doing their back days to help improve in their biceps, right? So that's why people can never improve, because they try to do one pull-up and then they never touch a pull-up bar for another month, and they're like, oh, I can never do pull-ups, or they're not doing anything to really improve, right? Just progressive overload. It takes time. It takes pushing your body in different ways with the similar movements. All right, so let's dive into the next question. Do I need a ton of cardio to lose fat, right? So that's something I see a lot of women do, right? They go to the cardio machines, they go on the treadmills, they go on the Stairmaster for 45 minutes to an hour. They are dripping sweat, but what? Like, are they actually losing any weight? 9 times out of 10, really not. So you don't need a ton of cardio. Cardio, in my opinion, is there for the stamina, the endurance, especially if you need to pass PT tests or just need to perform really well for your job. We don't usually add in a ton of it for most clients because it's not really necessary to lose weight. That's where the nutrition comes into play. And that's the biggest problem with those people. They're not consistent with their nutrition, so they try to make up for it in the gym. But here's the problem: you can't outrun your diet, unfortunately. Like, and literally, especially as you get older. As you get older, because we are less active, we have to be more mindful of our nutrition. When you, again, are in high school, when you're in early college, you can get away with stuff because you're a lot more active. When you get into these jobs, especially if you're in a vehicle all day, you're sitting. So don't necessarily need more cardio. You just need to get your nutrition more dialed in to lose the fat. And last but not least, what's happening when you're doing group classes? And like, that's why, like, are they helping me? Like, am I actually going to get results from them? You might initially. I think I've talked about this in like past videos. But the problem is if you are someone who's not consistently going to the group classes and then you do go to them and every time you go you're hitting the same like body part like over and over and over again, you're basically just like you're not really helping yourself that much, right? And that's the biggest problem for most people with group classes. If you're buying like into Orange Theory or any like legit any other group class where you have to show up and then they have everything pre like created for the group. The problem is like, you know, they're just going off of like a cycle. And let's say you come in on Tuesday, the first week, and then you work out on your own, maybe like one day, and then the following week you go back in and it's the same thing. So you really didn't do much between that first one and the second one. You're just hitting the same body parts. So that's another big part with group classes. You need to kind of fill the gaps in, right? That's another problem. Like people aren't filling the gaps in, which I see a lot. I used to work at a gym many, many years ago. And the same people came in doing these group classes, and their body composition never, ever, ever, ever changed. And they went at it for years. Because I remember I worked when I was like 18. Like just got out of basic, and I got a job at a gym and working the front desk, which was cool because I got to work out whenever I wanted. But the problem was like you see the group like Zumba ladies that would come in and out. And they just, you know, I mean, I get it, it's fun. They're good for like motivation and stuff, but that shouldn't be your primary source of body recomp because for most people, you know, it's not hitting the right muscle groups and it's just not progressing you in a way that's going to be sustainable either because they're like 45 minutes to an hour of you jumping around and it just doesn't make any sense to like see body recomp. Like I always ask people, do you ever see bodybuilders doing that stuff? Honestly, like the people who are stepping on stage who are super lean, who have like comprised their body to look right because they look like Greek gods when they get up there. Do you ever see them doing Zumba or any of that stuff? Of course not, because it doesn't make any sense. They're just jumping around. You're just jumping around in a room, hot and sweaty for 45 minutes. When you're bodybuilding, that's essentially the whole purpose is to hit muscle groups in a way that you're providing tension, which is also going to build up the muscle. So within group classes, you're just throwing around like a 2.5 pound weight maybe and getting your heart rate up, which is good if you want to improve your cardiovascular health. But if you want to see like if you want to go, damn, I look good in the mirror, it's group classes aren't going to get you there. They're good for funsies and you know maybe something you could throw in every once in a while, but it shouldn't be your end all be all. So ultimately, do we need to train insane to or remain the same? Not necessarily true. You know, we see a lot of people on the internet. You see a lot of CrossFit athletes who do train insane. But you guys have to remember that's their full-time job, right? They're getting paid. They're sponsored. They also are getting sponsored by like meal prep services. They aren't living a normal day to day like you are. They're not working nights. They're not working overtime. They're not in vehicles all day. They're literally built and trained to be those types of machines. You guys have to remember that you know, your percentage of working out of like, let's say your whole week. And if you're working out, let's say you're working out like 60 to, you know, 80 hours a week, like, do you really think adding more insane shit to your day is going to help you? No, you're already burnt out, right? Right? And all we're doing is just adding more, you know, gasoline to the fire, and it's not helping you. And in reality, the reason I see a lot of women that do come in not get results when they were training before us is they're doing too much, and their body just, it's, you know, it's just not responding the way they want it to. So understand that you need to, you know, pull back a little bit when it comes to your training. Weirdly enough, like, obviously the progressing and the overloading and pushing yourself in the workouts is important, but it doesn't need to be like 2 hours a day. You don't need to do 2 a days. You don't need to burn yourself out further and also under fuel yourself in the process. So I get it. Like, I've done the train insane. I've been in the gym for like 2.5, 3 hours. I've under eaten, like, didn't really help my body composition. So it's not about time. Like, the older you get to, the more you realize the less time you want to spend in the gym. Like I kind of mentioned in the beginning of the video, because of all the stuff that you have to do at home, and especially if you got kids and let's say you're on call, like, you don't want to spend all day there. It shouldn't be your number one priority. You know, either, like, you shouldn't like have your whole life revolve around the gym. I certainly don't. So just making sure it's something that's realistic. It's something you can stick with, please. Ugh. Something, you know, that it's like sustainable. That should be the most important. Because if it's not, you're not gonna want to. You're not gonna want to keep doing it. And that's why so many people struggle when they do like 75 hard or whatever other crazy thing that pops up, because it's not something that they can continue to stick with, and it's not realistic. So that should be your main focus when you are training. And during that amount of time that you have, yes, push yourself, but you don't need to be super nuts about it in order to get results. Okay. Like I said, if you guys are curious, you want to learn a little bit more about what my team and I do, then you can also text the word coach to 878-666-9222. My team member Nikki or Danielle will probably reach out to you. You know, if you do respond, kind of get an idea on where you're struggling and give you a really good idea on, you know, if we can help you. All right. So hopefully this video has been helpful. If you do follow me on Instagram, also, like, you can always just shoot me a message if you have any questions. And yeah, let's keep going at it.